Hi, my name is Sasha Sammbi. I'm here at the ECA club in Bangalore where I run my academy, the Indian Snooker Academy. And I'm going to show you today how you can retip your cue. So we've got a cue here and we've got the old tip. I haven't still removed it. But before we get into the removal process, let me just tell you the things that you would require to retip your cue. First and foremost, we need a tip. We're using an Elk Master tip here. And how are we going to determine whether it's a soft or a hard tip or a medium hard tip is there are a couple of options. One, you can poke your nail into the tip, and based on that you can figure out whether it's a soft or a hard tip. The other option is to just scratch it with your nails once again to figure out the density, and another option also is to drop it on the table, and with that, depending on the sound that you hear, you can determine whether this is a soft or a hard. This is a medium soft tip that we are using. So as you can see, it's kind of a clinky sound here, so you will figure out, and obviously it takes a lot of experience to, once you do it more often, it's going to be a little easier for you to figure out the density of the tip. So this is a medium soft tip. It's an Elk Master that we're going to be using. The other tools and equipment that we require, first and foremost, we need a nice and sharp cutter that we have here. We need a file, obviously, to shape our tip and also to clean the surface of the ferrule. We've got the different grits of emery paper that you will require once again for the shaping of your tip. So that can be as smooth as a nail polisher. Probably you can get it at a shop, and a nice super glue. So this we'd like to have a glue rather than a gel rather than the glue, so it holds better. So first things foremost is to remove the old tip. Just get a cutter out and just slowly cut out the old tip. Just be very careful. There you go. Sometimes it comes out pretty simple. So you got the old tip out of the way. Just use your file to just remove off any of the residue from the glue from the old tip. You can also use a cutter. Right, so we've got a nice and smooth surface here. Just use the cutter here, maybe make a few small holes just for the glue to kind of soak into the cue. Right, so we've got that part. We've got our tip ready. Like I said, this is a medium to hard Elk Master tip. So first, just make sure that you smoothen the bottom surface of the tip. And try and do this in a circular motion. Make sure you're doing it on a level surface so that the tip stays even and balanced on the cue. Okay, this seems just about fine, maybe a little bit more. This seems good. So get your super glue out. Just be very careful with this. Just a couple of tiny dots here of super glue. So just make sure to hold the tip
Once you've aligned it along the tip, along the ferrule, just hold it for a couple of seconds. Just apply a lot of pressure. You can also maybe just turn it around and hold it down like that for a bit.
This again varies from the super glue that you use. Some of the super glues are pretty quick, and you don't have to really hold it for too long. This particular glue takes a little longer. But once it does set in, because it's a gel, it really holds on well. And also the liquid, it's gel and it's not liquid, so it doesn't soak into the tip.
Seems to have settled down nicely. We'll just
so you can leave this for about 15-20 minutes for it to settle down. Once it does settle down, then we're going to start our shaping process. So be back in 15 minutes. Right, I think the glue is set in very nicely, and as you can see, the tip is nice and tight with the ferrule. And I think the advantage with this tip that we have chosen is it's nice and even with the ferrule, so we don't really have to cut out any of the tip from the sides, and all we look to do is shape it from the top. So once again, starting off with the thicker sandpaper, I'm just going to cut out a piece of this from here. There you go, just put this aside. So always downwards movements, just take the sandpaper and keep rotating the cue while you're doing that. You can also use the file to kind of grind out the top part of the tip. Again, up to down movements always. This is just to shape the tip. So once you're doing the sides of the tip, you might want to use a little bit of white tape so that you can protect the ferrule from any scratches. So we're just going to apply the white tape around the ferrule. So while we're trying to shape the tip from the sides, we don't scratch the ferrule. So I'm just going to take off any of the extensive tape here. I guess we could. So we're getting a nice and rounded shape on this tip. So moving on to the slightly finer paper. Once again, just going to cut it out a little bit. So you could also just grind the sides like this. And then you move on to the really super fine. Just get a small strip of a super fine. You don't need a really long strip, or rather in fact you can also remove the tape now and shine the ferrule with this. It's a very, very fine tip, very, very fine grit on this emery paper. Just removing all the excess threads. Here I have the paper. Again, just using the super fine. It's a really, really fine emery to shine out the edges. And it looks like in good shape. So just get a nice chalk. Right? Make sure to chalk it in nicely. You've got a good shape happening here, so you've got a perfect tip ready to play. So when you're using the tip in the beginning, just till it settles down, maybe a few shots, make sure you're playing center ball. Right, I think it seems to be in good shape, and that's how you retip your cue.